Okay, so I'm sitting here in my studio. Um, Decided I might as well do a little bit of ranting or whatever, just for the heck of it. Let's see. I'll just pull something off the top of my head. All right. Well, I see this picture, and well, it's a series of pictures, and it's a bunch of famous people. Um, I don't know. Like Angelina Jolie and Tom Cruise and let's see who else is in there. Jim Carrey. Um, just a bunch of famous people. I'm trying to think of who else. Um, I don't know. There was like who was it? Man, I can't even remember. There was just like 20 different ones or whatever. So, anyways, getting to the point before I deviated off in outer space. Um, you're supposed to focus on the center of the middle, and their faces flash by on the left and right side. And as you stare at it, they turn into ugly people or aliens or whatever. And I thought that was kind of interesting. You see a lot of comments and people say things like, "Ooh, they're ugly," or uh, just stuff like that. Or you'll have the typical guy in there, come in there that'll say, you know, "This is dumb. Uh, I don't think they're ugly. They're famous or whatever." And I don't know. Out of all those thousands of different comments, I didn't even see. I paged through them. Looked through them, just skimmed over what people were saying, and I don't see anything about the real point. I mean, not the point that they're ugly or that they're beautiful or they look like aliens when you focus on the dot or whatever. But to me, it was more like, you know, you see them all the time. I mean, so you're supposed to think, okay, these famous people, these movie stars, all of a sudden look ugly if you focus on the dot. But the reality here is you see them so much in the media, or you've seen them so much, movie promos, magazines, you know, advertisements, that it's it's almost hard to not think that they're beautiful, you know. See my point? So it's like, okay, focus on the dot, and all of a sudden they become ugly. Um, which is what a lot of the people were leaving comments saying, okay, now they're ugly. But has it ever maybe occurred to you that some of them maybe were already pretty ugly? You know? Point again being, you see them so much in the media, and over time, you know, they're automatically beautiful. So when you focus on the dot and all of a sudden, oh, surprise! That's what it was at the top of the picture series, was that it's shocking. Focus on the dot and you'll be shocked at how ugly they become. Well, maybe they already were. Maybe a few of them already were. You know. That's the first thing that crossed my mind. It wasn't you know, are they ugly or are they beautiful or do they look like aliens? It was more, uh, well, I think they're appearing this way to me because maybe they are. You know, I've seen them so much, I automatically think they're beautiful. You know, I mean, I don't know, I'll just pull one out of my hat. Jim Carrey, he's not the most beautiful guy. I mean, close up. I mean, really look at him. You know, it's some of those guys. Not saying him specifically, but I don't know. Maybe you think he's beautiful. Maybe you think he's handsome or something. He's real fucking GQ. Oops. You know. But yeah. So I don't know. That's just something off the top of my head. Thought I'd throw out there for the heck of it to rant about. Figured maybe every once in a while I'll come up with something to rant about. See a lot of people doing that. You know, ranting about what they don't like and who they think is ugly and who they think is not, and you're a dick, and you're whatever. So yeah, that was just this morning when I seen that, and I thought something's wrong here. Is this like promotional? Maybe we're supposed to stare at all these movie stars' faces, and then okay, maybe they're not beautiful or maybe they're not ugly, but now that we've seen them again for the how many, millionth time, maybe we'll automatically be interested in their next movie. You know, that could be what it's about too. So that's how promotional stuff gets out there. Um, I noticed, you know, like the whole Justin Bieber thing. It's it's this kind of a hate thing, you know, and if you can make people hate a lot on something, it's kind of like they become automatically popular because you know everybody hates this person so much, or this video, or like you're watching right now, you know so much that automatically there's millions of hits on it, or millions of people, or thousands of comments, and people talking about how much they hate this guy because he's an idiot. But in reality, that's what companies do. That's what record companies do, execs do, is they plan it that way. That's what they call a market whore. you know um, that's what's referred to as a market whore. I'm not saying the guy's a market whore, but if you've ever seen a helicopter view of his house, at, I don't know, what is he, like in his early 20s, something? I don't know. I don't even know, but you take a guy like Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. That guy, he's been around from like the early 80s, and uh or late early 80s, whatever, and they released that one CD, and have you ever seen a helicopter view of his house? I mean, how many times did their record like platinum over before this guy has this sprawling palace bigger than Michael Jackson, the Michael Jackson estate? I mean, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, here's Justin Bieber, and we're looking at helicopter views of a house that's about as big as Axl Rose. I mean, it's like, what's happening here is like, I'm not sure you could even equate Justin Bieber to Axl Rose. I mean, if you listen to a classic rock radio station, turn on a classic rock or metal radio station anywhere in the United States and you'll probably hear, welcome to the jungle, or, the Mr. Brownstone, won't leave me alone, you know. And that's all you hear, on the classic rock radio stations. Where does Justin Bieber come into that? And then, like, let's just, like, put their, like, mansions side by side with a helicopter flying over them. How do they both get to that status level? Because I never heard Justin Bieber on the radio. Point being, on this second tangent rant about famous people, I guess it is, movie stars and musicians. Point being, you can't, because you can't equate those two like that. You can see, obviously, there's some sort of market whoring going on, so they take a young guy. I mean, look at all the other musicians out there. How many millions of other musicians who got just mountains of talent beyond that, metal, speed metal, death metal, whatever, that just really extreme stuff. That's just one example of musicians. You just see this immense amount of talent, but the public can't really handle that, really. They're not gonna, maybe they can handle it. I'm not saying that you can't handle it or whatever. I'm just saying, they're not going to promote that, and they're not going to show that to people because you can't handle the truth, So, they're going to give you this high school kid, and they got all the other, younger people too, and they can't be promoting all that heavy shit, death metal or whatever to all the younger people. So what do? They got this Justin Bieber or whatever. I'm not attacking Justin Bieber. I'm just saying that's just one example. It's just it's just pure stupidity when you look at the evolution. If you've seen the evolution, from a guy's perspective, because I'm a musician, from my perspective, it completely, the math just does not work, it just doesn't make any sense, poster after bumper sticker after hat and shirt and advertisement and on YouTube or wherever else. You never used to see that. When did you ever used to see that? And then you get to their, those MySpace and Facebook pages. What do you see when you get there? Just like millions and millions and millions of people. Is that half of that contrived, maybe? You think maybe some of that might be just all, altered facts and figures, like 9 million people, 10 million people, are all liking on Justin Bieber? Or what is it? Is it a hate thing? Is it a like thing? And then you go to Axl Rose's place, or page or whatever, and what do you see? Like a couple 100,000 maybe? Something's, I don't know, maybe I got those figures wrong, but I don't know, something just doesn't add up. I'm not seeing it. Anyways, back to the dot in the center of the screen kind of a thing, they automatically, stare at Axl Rose, off to the side, Justin Bieber over here long enough, and they both become ugly. Oh, the shocking truth. They both all of a sudden they became ugly. It's it's the shocking truth. Right on the cover of the magazine, you know, and on the top of the picture, shocking. Oh, they're ugly. How did they become ugly? Well, we all know they're just so fucking beautiful. You know? It's just this kind of stuff. It's it's completely asinine. You know? There's just so much more to life than being uh, berated and brainwashed continually by this barrage of bullshit all the time. From, and I gotta say it, Hollywood, or California most of the time. Me, I tend to like some of the Bay Area type stuff, some of the groups out there, musician wise, some of it's alright. But then the rest of it, it's baloney. It's total baloney. It doesn't. Most of it doesn't even add up. And you know automatically that it's fake. It's just it really doesn't do anything for the world and for the United States. Really. Anyways, it just doesn't do anything when they promote that kind of stuff. I know it's fun for the kids and for them to get up there with the microphone, and do their fancy footwork, but they're not musicians. You know, they're dancers. It's a bunch of choreography. A lot of the times you never even see these guys holding instruments in their hands for years, sometimes, but it's really brief, and it's like they don't even, half of it they don't even write, Like I heard Lady Gaga, I don't want to rip on anyone and specifically, but that's kind of stuff's just not my cup of tea, but I do know that I think he was either Arabic or something like that, and he's living in Sweden, and he wrote some of her most popular songs. I'm not sure, but I think it's the Bad Romance song, that Bad Romance, and a couple other ones, but yeah. She didn't even write those, as far as I know. It's from some Arabic guy living in Sweden, is what I read, and I think I read that on a Wikipedia page, so it wasn't just some contrived article. I was official. So as you can see, some of these musicians, they don't even write their own stuff. So I don't know. Back to the beginning of the rant again. It's like you'll be surprised, you'll be shocked when you find out that they didn't write their own music, or no, it was a Swedish guy, or was that guy? Oh, really? Who the hell is he? Oh, I don't know. He wrote that? Really? Like, you won't even know it. When you may hear that when you're like 80 years old, if you ever get that far, or like 200 years from now, like, how they look back at like classical, you know, composition type stuff. Oh, really? Shocking, the shocking truth. Lady Gaga didn't write Bad Romance. People have been deceived for a century. The shocking truth. The shocking truth. Jim Carrey really isn't beautiful. He's ugly. You know, I mean, where does this focus on the dot? You know, focus on that dot, and you'll find out that Justin Bieber's mansion was really Axl Rose's. That's why the helicopter view looked similar. The shocking truth, you know, their mansions are the same. They even lived together for a while with Jim Carrey and Tom Cruise. You know, Angelina Jolie would stop by every once in a while too. They'd all get together and have a fucking cappuccino. The shocking truth. Focus on the dot. You know? Wow. Just wow. So, I don't know. I think I'll cut this off for now. I'll do another rant on something else later. Maybe something other than musicians in Hollywood, and I don't know. Maybe something a little more political or something else. So there you go. See you next time. Okay.